One new business in town says there is no worker shortage for them. In fact, they are flooded with resumes of people eager to work and show up on time. The owner says their recipe is hiring for an undertapped and overlooked workforce. At Dedicat Coffee, they hire people of all abilities.
There's not a place like this in Las Vegas, but truly our people are just the happiest employees. They find joy in their jobs.
There's no secret syrup to why these workers want to work here and are eager and on time. They truly dig it. Taylor Cheney, owner of Dedicat Coffee, says it's only because she believes in every worker's different abilities.
People who are working here are so proud. They're so proud to have a job. They're so proud to get a real paycheck.
Figuratively and literally through inclusion here, helping people of different abilities that many simply call a disability get a job and well-paying job. The mission touches Taylor personally.
My little sister Lindsay was born with Down syndrome, one of my very favorite humans, and her transition to adulthood was difficult.
Taylor says her sister is nonverbal, and at adult facilities, some caretakers couldn't see her sister's potential. That's what drove Taylor to create the Garden Foundation, providing classes and recreational activities and helping all abilities find purpose in meaningful work. What was a coffee delivery service to offices brewed into the concept of a full-blown coffee shop. They make sure every worker is well-trained and supported.
The most surprising thing or heartwarming thing has been all of the people with disabilities, without, who have reached out to us because they want to work here, because they want a really positive work environment that they feel like they belong and that they feel supported in.
Taylor says she is overwhelmed with the sheer response of people who are wanting to get hired, wanting to work, and they just can't hire everyone. She wants to grow so she can hire more people, but she also wants workplaces to give people with all abilities a chance.